going to go to church now.
That's right.
That's right.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning. We've got the music ministry starting us out today. Join in with us on this one. This is audience participation. Just a few instructions for you. Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say, I recognize the God in you.
I recognize the God in you.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the love in the sanctuary.
Now lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice and repeat after
We come
me.
together. We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together in the name of love.
Come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together in the name of love.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say, God loves you and I love you
Say
too.
God loves you and I love you too.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the love in the sanctuary.
Now lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice and repeat
We
after
come
me.
together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together in the name of love.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together in the name of love.
Now every walk of life,
Every walk of life,
every breed and color,
every breed and color,
in kinship we unite.
kinship we unite.
And honor God in charity. Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say namaste, I bow to you.
Namaste, I bow to you.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the love in the sanctuary.
Lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice and repeat
We
after
come
me.
together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together in the name of love.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Together in the name of love.
We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
How's that extra hour feel now? Boy, if we could just bottle this up. That extra hour before bed. Oh, maybe we can. All right. All right. So, welcome one and all. It's great to have you here this morning. And let's just welcome our presider, Reverend Nancy Woods, who is also our assistant minister, longtime member, metaphysician of some years. Yeah, it is good. It's good for us anyway. I don't know if it's good for you. It's good for us, that's for sure. All right, so as we bring the lights down a little bit, we're all going to take a deep, conscious breath as we come together in the name of love by starting with a ritual we like to call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So, as we have the candles lit this morning, in honor of our ofrenda, pick a candle, and that will be for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle is lit for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light the 10th candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center. And as Reverend Nancy lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and I see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
And we recognize that that love is the love of the universe saying yes to life. And as it says yes to life here this morning, we realize it has brought all of us together under the idea and concept that the spiritual presence of life is a gift of, and that awareness of it is springing forth into expression as we gather in the idea of sharing that love. As we know and understand that the infinite intelligence is guiding and directing us this morning, and it brings forth that which lets us open our hearts to the music that has been played and sung. And we welcome the words of truth and understanding that have been shared. And we truly appreciate the sense of oneness that we feel as we share the energy of all those around us. This is a divine hour in which everyone that is participating, whether they're online or whether they're here in this center, everyone has been blessed with an expanded consciousness of the truth. So as we step forth, knowing that this is already so, and recognizing and honor the law of the universe that is saying yes to the words that we place in it, we rejoice in a unifying way as we say yes to this moment. And we do so by saying together, and so it is. Good morning, everybody. This is a glorious morning, and I know this is beautiful, isn't it? it's just a wonderful way to share in history and our ancestors. And I want to share something about that. I've been having dreams about dead people. But the nice thing about these dreams that they come back alive. And they come back alive in such a glorious way. I mean, it's like they come back to help me and to be with me and to love me. When the first one was with my husband, he came back alive, and I was celebrating that we now had 43 years, but now we had 53 years. Wonderful, because he's been dead 10 years. So, but I was celebrating that, and I was telling everybody about it. And then a few days ago, I had another dream about an aunt of mine who was kind of like the one that lived with me around me in New York. And she came here to help us grow the church. And so I said, wow, this is fascinating. Why am I dreaming about this? And then I thought about it. Oh, it's time of year, and of course. But one of the rich things that I gathered out of that is that these celebrations that we experience, that we honor these people that have transitioned before us, our ancestors, we honor them because they are actually the shoulders that we're standing on, and you realize that. We're standing on their shoulders, which is one of the beautiful things. But also that they have gifted us. And what they gifted us with is still with us. It never leaves us. They have blessed us. And some of them, we inherited in some roundabout way, but our ancestors have gifted us. But the thing that is really nice, I feel, like I can let go of anything that I don't want to keep and just keep the good parts. Because we're living for today and living for what's real in this moment. And so whatever that have been gifted that helps me see and expand my understanding of being, I can keep the day. So I thank my ancestors for bringing that forth. So I am also grateful for the idea that they are the ones that introduced me to spirit. They are the ones that help us get a grip on how to explore this inner spirit that is in us. So we have a lot of richness coming from it. But the greatest gift is understanding that we do not have to keep anything that is not lifting us up. None of it needs to stay. We can pick and choose what we want to keep and take it forward in our lives. So Joseph Campbell was very aware of this understanding. And that's why we are here to seek our blessed and being alive. And thank you for letting me share that.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. I would like to thank Ms. Terry Page and Ms. Brenda Moore for their talent and their loyalty every Sunday. All right. Mr. Jason Goldstein on keyboards today. Very happy to have Ms. Eden Living Good on violin today as well. All right.
am steadfast, no compromise. I lift my sails to the sky. I'm gonna catch the wind. I'm gonna catch the wind. I am bold, no fear inside. Spread my wings, open my life. Like an eagle whose home is the sky. I'm gonna catch the wind. I'm gonna catch the wind. Your faithfulness will never let me down. I'm confident I'll see your goodness now. I know you hear my heart, I'm singing out. There's nothing that can stop your goodness now. I am bold, no fear inside. Spread my wings, open my life. Like an eagle whose home is the sky. I'm gonna catch the wind. I'm gonna catch the wind. Your faithfulness will never let me down. I'm confident I'll see your goodness now. I know you hear my heart, I'm singing out. There's nothing that can stop your goodness now. Like standing on the edge of a mountainside, I can feel the wind stirring, lifting me up high. I was born into freedom. I was meant to fly, full of life. I am steadfast, no compromise. I lift my sails to the sky. I'm gonna catch the wind. I'm gonna catch the wind. Your faithfulness will never let me down. I'm confident I'll see your goodness now. I know you hear my heart, I'm singing out. There's nothing that can stop your goodness now. I'm gonna catch the wind.
Yes, yes, yes. Your faithfulness will never let me down. Thank you, band. Thank you, Angela. That was beautiful. Woo! Was sitting back there looking at this wonderful gathering of light beings, and I was thinking of Romper Room. It's going. I see Mark and Adriana. I see Beverly and Marcy and Jose, and it's wonderful to see you all here. Look around and say hello to each other. And if you don't know the person sitting next to you, introduce yourself. It's beautiful, beautiful gathering of like-minded light beings. We're so happy you're here. So if you didn't know this, a lot of you were here last night, but Diana put on the most amazing event last night for Dia de los Muertos. And we had Marcy and Jose as puppeteers. We had Miss Terry Page and Jasmine and Marcy and Diana circling the room, spreading spiritual goodness, and dancers and singers, and the most amazing puppet show. It was just wonderful. Diana, stand up, please, and let us thank you. It was such a beautiful evening. And many of you were here and shared in the goodness of it all. Oh, she's coming up, I guess. Yes.
Thank you so much for allowing me to do this, share a part of my culture with you. But I couldn't have done it without all the help of. So why don't you come up with Terry and Marcy and Jose and Jasmine and Angela. Well, Angela, by giving her beautiful statues, Angela and who else? Your son is here, Andrews. Thank you.
What a wonderful evening it was. Really a wonderful opportunity to bring a spiritual community and neighborhood community together. It was really fantastic. So thank you for that again, Diana. So let's see. I think Miss Judy is on high watch. Practitioner Judy Dunkley, and she is available to pray with you after service. So if there's something you're working through that you want to release or something that you want to anchor more deeply in, please go to the front treatment room, and Judy will be in there ready to pray with you this morning. There is a practitioner meeting this afternoon at 12:30. And there is still the opportunity to donate money to the parking lot fund. If you have noticed our new parking lot, isn't it beautiful? And that was a wonderful way that we got to honor Reverend Mike's 10 years of service here in this community. So thank you also. Nikki is still teaching and facilitating the Myth and Spirit class, which is based on the teachings of Joseph Campbell. And they will be meeting tomorrow at 10:30 till 1. And they're also doing an online thing. So if you can't come to the church to be here for the class, you can check it out online. Healing support group, spiritual contemplation. We have our last class tomorrow night. Reverend Nancy and I are doing a Joel Goldsmith class. And we'll be continuing the second half of the book called The Contemplative Life in January sometime. Healing Support Group is going to be meeting next Sunday, November 10th at 12:30 in the treatment room. And we're having a new thought-a-thon coming up on the 17th from 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. It's a way for us to be an online presence and reach out to the online community and those of us here. It's a fundraiser and introduction to what we do here. So if you're available to stick around or come back after service on Sunday, November 17th, please come be part of the new thought-a-thon with us. And it's really fun. The band will be here. And if you can't come be a part of it, be sure to donate online because it is a fundraiser and we look forward to your support in that way. So you all love Angela Carroll Brown, yes? So Angela is going to be heading up our choir, and we're going to be meeting. She promises that when you join the choir, you'll be able to sing just like her. That's not necessarily the promise, but we promise that you'll have fun, right? So we will be meeting every Sunday. I'm sorry, did I say Sunday? Monday it was here, but Sunday. Mondays at 6 to 8, 7, and I'm in the choir. So Monday nights from 6:45, it says here. Okay, 6:45. Every Monday we're going to rehearse, and we're going to have between 4 and 6 performances a year. And you're all invited to come be a part of the choir. And the first rehearsal is going to be it's Monday, November 18th is the first rehearsal. And then Reverend Mike is going to be facilitating a Beyond Limits class starting Tuesday, November 19th at 7 p.m., which is kind of an introduction to science of mind, right? Yes. And for all other regularly scheduled events, check your program. And thank you so much for being here.
So now would you stand and say the Declaration of Principles with me? We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal too, and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon the law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all.
3, 4.
Very nice. Always good to have the fiddler in the room. I'm sorry, the violinist.
We'll have to do a little more fiddling.
That was great, thank you. And I have to say, I was in my office when we were starting, and the background singers who I can't really hear when I'm up here, I heard you guys. Man, what a difference that makes. So thank you for your, and they volunteered to do that. So make sure you tell them how wonderful they are. At least pay them up, love them up if you can't pay them up. Yeah, so, before we get into our talk title, we did want to share a little bit more about the Dia de los Muertos event and experience. So Mike prepared a short video, just a little 30-second video, so you can see what you missed, what we missed, because I also was not here. Here we are. And there's that guy. I don't know who that was. Yes. Isn't that great? So great turnout this year. Boy, it's really building. So, we'll see what happens next year. And it is a wonderful community event, which is nice to be able to share. So, let's get to the business at hand, shall we? So today's talk title is Science of Mind and Morality. Ooh. Yeah. So I'm going to skip over a bunch of stuff because people started falling asleep in the first service. But it was really interesting to me. So, and I'm just going to give you a broad overview, super simplified. However, we do have a practitioner in the room, Phil. Raise your hand, Phil. He has a degree in philosophy from UCLA, so anything that doesn't make sense, ask Phil.
Ask David Hume.
So I do want to thank Diana one more time. So thank you for your gift and everyone who helped out. And please do not forget to pick up your mementos after the service today, because we got to make room for November. Yeah, it's here already, man. So for those, I didn't really get a chance to introduce. I know we have some new faces, so welcome. Didn't get a chance to meet you. Brianna, welcome. My name is Reverend Michael McMorrow, and I am the spiritual director here at the center. And that's kind of a good news, bad news proposition. But we're going to talk today about the science of mind and morality, because we really don't talk about morality much in this teaching. And I find that very interesting, because most religious teachings do. And so we're going to explore that a little bit. Holmes says this, that the secret of spiritual power is a consciousness of one's union with the whole and the availability of good. So within that wholeness, we need to understand that there is available the good of the universe. Now, what does that good mean? Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So I think this is an interesting endeavor myself, because I have not found any place in the concordance anyway, which would mean the Science of Mind textbook, in which the word morality or moral behavior, it's not in there. Not in there. So, and our teaching has been accused of an anything goes religion, which is sort of true, right? Because we are cause to our own effect. We are cause to our own effect. What this means is that, so our teaching is that our thought is cause to the demonstration, which is our life, right? So we do away with the concept of sin as an offense against the Godhead, but as the logical consequence of thought, as an error in thought. And so rather than beat ourselves up around what are our poor choices, but instead to understand that we can choose again. That the availability of good is, in fact, the consciousness of the divine longing to express itself by means of your life and by means of everyone else's life as well. And that's where the morality thing comes in. So it's not simply a spiritual system where we focus on our own thinking so much to where we become self-obsessed. However, that doesn't mean that that doesn't happen. Right? If we want to change, if we're really wanting to change an aspect of our life that no longer serves us, we're going to need to have a level of self-obsession for a while. And then we have to get over it. Right? And know that an abundant universe of good is backing our play, regardless of what we think about that. And that's another one of the challenges in this teaching. But there's no moral code per se. So the 10 commandments of religious science are, thou shalt keep a clean consciousness or pay the consequences, right? Thou shalt tithe regularly, right? That's not in there. I wish it was. Thou shalt come to church on Sunday. It's not in there. What is in our moral code is that we are responsible for our own experience. And as we develop our own consciousness within the consciousness of good, we demonstrate a human race consciousness in which all are lifted because all are served. Because we are served. Because as I get more okay with me, and as I get more okay with my relationship with the divine, as I uniquely understand that experience to be, then the world demonstrates as peace and harmony, love, compassion, right? Beyond tolerance, right? So tolerance is like, boy, you really annoy me, but I'm going to allow you to hang out with me anyway. Beyond tolerance, right? Am I right? So it's kind of crazy to say, oh yeah, we need a tolerant life. No, we need a life of understanding and mutual respect, right? Where all are loved for who they are. So the science of mind does not have a moral teaching per se, except to say that it is based on the law of cause and effect, richly seasoned and flavored by the teachings of Jesus and the ancient Hebrews. So the Old and the New Testament are in there. You get the textbook, there'll be a metaphysical interpretation of what that means. But it will be from the perspective of what if God is good and only good? What if there's one mind expressing itself, and that mind is the mind of the divine? And if this mind of the divine is in fact good and only good, then what does that mean to the expression of my life? And if I believe in this, is there enough evidence demonstrated by my life to speak to that? Is there enough evidence within my belief as a religious scientist to convict me of good? Well, for most of us, that's a mixed bag. But generally speaking, the tendency of our thought, as we apply the gift of awareness to it, right, by every obstacle that may be presented to us, the tendency of our thought shifts one thought by thought by thought to raise our consciousness of good, to raise our awareness of the availability of good, and to understand and know, free of judgment, that the only thing that's limiting our expression of this cosmic power of good is our own understanding of it. In the ways that we think that it's not so. Now, Holmes would call one of the biggest obstacles to that the morbidity of thought. Right? The morbidity of thought is basically anything that underscores the notion that you are not enough. The morbidity of thought is anything that allows you to think that you are not an emanation of the divine itself. especially on those dark days, especially on that day when the boss has called you out for an error that you just have to accept. Yeah, that's mine. Right? On those days when you have not been the best partner and said something unkind. On the best day, on that day when you catch yourself, 2 exits down that you just gave someone half a peace sign. And not the good half. It's now, you're number one. Because if we can't use this teaching in these practical ways, right, it's really not serving us, and it's not serving anyone else either. So perhaps there's no moral code because Ernest Holmes, we're a pretty new religion. We're a new thought system from the 1920s. And so we didn't have to work out a lot of the moral behavior that the early Hebrews did, right? So the world was lawlessness because there was no law, right? Before the Code of Hammurabi, there was no law. There was just whatever the chieftain said, right? It was dog eat dog. And then humans came together and started to realize there must be a better way to do it. And in fact, it appears, as philosopher Jaspers said, that there was this thing that he coined the axial age, where the golden rule emerged in the planet, in China, in Mesopotamia, in Judaism, and in Greece, within like a 200 or 300, 500 year span, right? In ways that things were so dispersed that it does not appear that they were talking to each other yet, right? And I probably left out India, which is one of our oldest civilizations. So it's that idea emerged. And so along with that moral code of the Ten Commandments and then the teachings of Jesus, right? Love God with all your whole heart and soul, and your neighbor as yourself, which is basically the 10 Commandments condensed into 2 commandments. So maybe Holmes just figured, well, that's done, right? Because there's a lot of self-evident truths presented in this teaching. Maybe that's one of them. But this idea of morality is an interesting thing because one person's good time is another person's immoral behavior, right? So, for instance, sexual activity is something that people like to band together to condemn, right? And the expression of that, which kind of makes sense in the old way. Let's just take it back, to the Ten Commandment era, right? So what is the cause of the effect, right? Well, you're going to have children, and someone's got to take care of it. And so how are we going to do that? And how are we going to make sure our kids don't engage in that until they're ready to make the commitment, right? Well, let's teach them that it's a sin and that there's this entity that's watching. And so when you're in the car at the drive-in, if there is still a drive-in, I don't know if there is. My dad used to say, just know that every girl you date is the Blessed Virgin Mary. Whew. I didn't know whether to pray or play, but... But that's legit stuff, particularly if you have teenage kids, right? So there was a guy named Kant, a philosopher in the 18th century, and so when he addressed this idea of morality, he thought, I know you can turn it was really hot up here when we had all the candles going, but you can turn the air off if you like. I'm just seeing people's breath now, I think. All right. So basically, he came up with this idea: what is moral behavior? The bottom line is, what does it mean to be good? It all starts with that. What does it mean to be good? Right? Holmes just kind of took that also as a self-evident truth. But certainly early Christian philosophers did not, that the nature of man was evil. Right? That's where the whole original sin idea came from, right? So this is where this morbidity of thought, which he did not hold to be true, that's where this comes from. That if God is good and only good, then how does that change the way that we express life and express life with each other? Now, another thing that Kant came up with was this thing called, so he invented something called transcendental idealism. So right there, as New Thought people, oh, transcendental, right? So he says, without qualification, that now this is according to Ollie, the professor on YouTube, that the goodwill is the will to do the right thing, whatever that is. Now that keeps it pretty broad, right? But I like things broad. That's why I like lighting the flames of faith, right? So I've heard it expressed that it's a really big hoop that people can jump into, rather than constricting it, right? And I really do think that that is the nature of the divine. It's not restrictive, but expansive. Just like the universe is expanding, right? So the mind of the God, of the Spirit is expanding. And we are expanding in our awareness of that. And we are evolving into that. We as individuals and we together as the human family. We together in our marriages, in our families, in our communities, in our spiritual communities, certainly. The goodwill, the will to do the right thing. So, what does that mean? Well, let's say you go to the pub for a pint. This is the best picture I could find at the time, which is not a pub, but The Big Bang Theory. Yeah, okay. So you go to the pub for a pint, and then you pay for it. And then the barman gives you your change, your exact change. Now, but what is the motivation of that? Right? Is it the motivation because he could be found out, right? Because there's a cash register, right? That he could be, he may want repeat business. He may want a tip. He may want to have a reputation of being forthright. He may want a phone number. Who knows what the motivation is? But according to the goodwill, not goodwill towards all men, but the goodwill would be because it's the right thing to do. And we can see how that would play out in all kinds of things. And so here's an example of the negative. So what if we did not hold, what if we believed that it's okay to lie all the time? I believe it's okay to lie. I believe it's okay for you to lie. We live in a society where we're all liars. Imagine that. So what's the motivation then to tell the truth? Right? There really isn't one. Right? And so I guess then it just becomes from whoppers to bigger whoppers. I don't know. And so the only way that it works is that we have this agreement that I am going to be truthful within myself and with the people whom I deal with, and that I expect that to be done for me as well. Right? I expect to keep my hands to myself when it comes to other people who are married, and I expect them to respect the same thing towards me and towards my beloved. I expect people to not steal my stuff, because I'm not going to steal your stuff, right? So these kinds of things. So the goodwill, or the Big Bang, whatever it works. So now this really is an 18th century deconstruction of the Golden Rule, right? That's all this really is. Now Kant also came up with this idea of categorical imperatives, and this is where it gets a little deep. But I just want to point out that this idea of morality starts with the individual And that which I want for myself, I want for everyone else too. Otherwise, it's not valid. Okay? It also has a respect in it, respect of others regardless of station. So remember, in the 18th century, you still had the aristocracy in place and so forth. Okay? These ideas drove, of course, and informed the guys who wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, because Kant was part of the Enlightenment. So we can see as we learn more stuff about this, so go on YouTube, Ollie Philosopher MA on YouTube, and he covers a lot of this stuff. And you can see how this has influenced life. And if you've been a student of this course, you already know this. But it also influenced Ernest Holmes. But in another area of thought, which was thought itself and how that works. Because he was also a student of Emerson. And Emerson spoke to the idea that there is one mind common to all men. So, bringing this all together then, okay, and then there's this whole thing about we perceive objects and their perception of our perceptions, but there is that aspect of reality that's beyond our perceptions, in which an object exists regardless of our perceptions of it. So that's like, did I get that roughly right? Okay, so now to bring all this BS together, BS being belief system, of course, there is one mind. There's one mind. That this mind is the first cause of all reality in the ways that it's seen and unseen. It exists in ways we can perceive and in ways we cannot perceive. It's the great reality, and that all of our experience is a result of our interplay with this intuitive perception or conscious awareness of this first cause, where objects exist because of this first cause, self-reflection, where objects become the thing it thinks about. And as we are a reflection of the divine, by definition, we are a reflection of the divine in some way. So too our thinking and our thinking processes. On our good days, our reflections, actually on any day, because we are cause to our own effect. We are cause to our own effect. And when we really understand how true this is, right, we come to see that we are punished not by our sins, but for our sins. That there is nothing, what? We are punished not for our sins, but by our sins, right? We are punished for our errors in thought. That there is no one or nothing working against us. That this infinite power that we are playing with, this goodwill, is the cosmic goodwill that is good and only good. And so the challenge then becomes our access to it in ways that must be practiced, because we're just not used to living life from that perspective. And that's where the morality of science of mind expresses itself through the teaching, and as the teaching, as the way that your life and mine express itself as good. In spite of our errors, in spite of our warts, in spite of what we think about what we should have done, in spite of our zigging when we should have zagged, in spite of the days when we're more unkind than loving, that we can just remember, we can think again, and that the universe responds in kind. And so let's call our musicians forward and take a deep conscious breath while they come forward. Holmes said this, and you are more than you think. That since this inner self is in continuous connection with the outer self, it can cause a flow of intelligence stimulating the mind to purposefulness, to creative genius, to executive ability, that there is something in the most practical person that longs for that still, silent presence. So this is where he raises the bar a bit, that when we spend our entire time on objective things, stuff and things, never getting back to that inner self, we are piling brick upon brick that sooner or later all of them fall into ruin. The toiler dies in a day unless the dreamer, refreshed, and invigorates him with the divine influx, which comes from the inner self that never tires, fed by the deep, eternal fires. So as we go about our business today, let's think about the goodwill within our own heart. What is the thing that drives us to express ways in which we can further have a deeper experience of the cosmic goodwill, that aspect of life that knows only to say yes, my beloved, yes. And you, I am well pleased. Take that into our working life this week. See what happens, and let's check in next week.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path today. And now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am kinder every moment, every day. And I'm more loving every moment, every day. I will surrender every moment, every day.
Carol Brown, everyone. Let's give. Thank you. All right, as we prepare our gifts for the offering.
3, 4. Spirit gives through me. Spirit receives through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through us. Spirit receives through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us.
So going within for just a moment longer, taking a deep breath, exhaling, and just recognizing and knowing together that the gifts presented here this morning, whether through online giving or through the baskets here this morning, are a demonstration of consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. And so, as these gifts are evidenced by the generous heart of the individual, we, representing the heart of this spiritual community, accept these gifts with deep love and respect, as we know together they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless not only this Center for Spiritual Living, but the lives of each one here this morning, the lives connected to this center in any way. That we extend this blessing to our friends here in our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its temples, churches, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, that we know for our planet as well that all of it is an emanation of the cosmic goodwill expressing itself fully and completely through all aspects of life. And as we know this to be so, we see it demonstrating in all ways, great and small. This lifts our heart. We feel a sense of grace and power that propels us into ways of spiritual living and spiritual loving that shift and lift ourselves and those around us, and that's a good thing. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So help me thank our board president and practitioner, Andrea Reck, Miss Chloe Houghton. Thank you very much. And let's thank again our background singers. Brenda left, but Terry, thank you very much. And our musician, featured musician, Eden Livingood, Mr. Jason Goldstein, of course, our music director, Ken Francis. Thank you for being here. There are refreshments on the other side of that wall, so hope you can have some time to stop in and say hello, have a cup of joe, and what do you know? Let's go.
So as the practitioners sat around this room, and we're surrounded in love, and I invite you to place anybody's that you know that's reaching for a higher expression of being in this circle of love. And acknowledge that it is our goodwill to know the truth about each other, to realize and recognize that the infinite intelligence is being expressed in and through everybody here and everybody online, and all mankind. And as we recognize this truth, we recognize that we are gifted with this community of love. We are gifted with the awareness that we are the divine expression, and we go forth to allow that awareness shine in everything we do, through thought, word, and deed. And it's with this understanding of truth that we say yes to life, and we join together in doing so by saying, and so it is.
Please stand for the peace song. Yes. Okay, you want to do it next week? Okay. Okay. No problem. Oh, I know. Sometimes the night before.